The Colonial Room here at the Ramada Inn at Love Field carved itself a niche in sports history this afternoon when Major League Baseball decided to strike. At 2 this afternoon, player representatives from the 24 Major League teams filed inside and met with their management representative, Mr. Marvin Miller, who is Executive Director of the Players Association. They consulted until approximately 6:45 this evening when an announcement was made.
The player representatives and alternates have voted to take strike action beginning with all games scheduled to be played on April 1st and continuing until there is an appropriate resolution of the dispute. The vote was 47 to nothing with 1 abstention. The representatives stated that the strike would be terminated in either of the following circumstances. 1, if an appropriate settlement is reached with the owners, or 2, if the owners agree to submit the dispute to binding arbitration by any prominent person not associated with either of the parties. As you know, all 24 Major League clubs were represented here, player representatives and alternates. And although I didn't keep accurate track of this, I believe every person in the room spoke at least once, and I think most spoke 2 and 3 and 4 times as these issues were discussed.
Can you say who the dissenting vote was?
There was no dissenting vote.
Abstention, excuse me.
I don't think that's important.
So Marvin Miller is on his way to New York to confer with the owners tomorrow in the hopes of averting a strike. The player representatives are returning to their various training bases to tell the players, for whom they represented here today, that there will be a strike tomorrow unless 1 or 2 alternatives are met. You know the alternatives. Will the owners allow the players to use the excess of $817,000 for the 17% cost of living fund and contribute less than $11,000 per team in order to make this possible? We'll find out, and hopefully soon, particularly since Major League Baseball is supposed to be coming to Texas on April the 6th. North Texas, that is. This is Jerry Haynes for Channel 8 News on the Move.
It was a long night last night for Texas legislators, but today most of them are pretty well satisfied with what they've accomplished over the last 3 days. Among those accomplishments, a primary financing bill, the Highway Beautification Act, sometimes called the Anti-Billboard Act, and of course, reform rules in the House. Today I talked with 3 tired men, all of whom they said were pleased with the results.
I've always thought that the people still had confidence in their state government, and I still believe they do, and I think the manner in which they conducted their business this time is just further proof that we do have good state government in Texas. I would say this about our legislators and public officials. They have one objective in mind, and that's to serve the people, and I would say by far the great majority of them are like that. And whether they're lame duck or whether they're actively still serving or still a candidate, I believe they will conduct themselves pretty much in the same way.
I'm very pleased that we were able to complete our work in 3 days. This was a very difficult time for the legislature to be called into session with all the members running for re-election or higher office. I was particularly pleased with the job the new Speaker, Rayford Price, did. I think he did a fine job of providing leadership.
It is the Texas legislature. We are a branch of government, and we should cooperate, and we should work out our procedures and our operations in a cooperative manner. And I hope to be able to, with the Lieutenant Governor, to have an interim committee that will be looking at all the rules and procedures of both houses that we can work out, hopefully, between now and the next regular session. Many ways of operating the legislature that will be both efficient and will also get the problems, be able to get at the problems of the state government.
And so on Good Friday, the Texas Capitol is given back over to the tourists and the Easter vacationers. The legislators have gone home. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move, at the Capitol building in Austin.
It was the last entrance for the Dallas County Grand Jury. After 3 months of deliberation, the 12-member jury walked down to Judge James Zimmerman's court this morning to make its final report. It was a special report, calling on the city and county to pool their resources and establish a drug treatment center for narcotic and drug addicts.
A drug treatment center in Dallas would not only reduce crime and rehabilitate the addicts, but it would make this city and this county an even more desirable place to live. And I believe that a monument of that sort will go far toward curing many of our problems, and I am personally grateful for your report.
According to the jury report, the federal government could finance as much as 80% of the drug center's cost, with the city and county splitting the rest of the financing. Jury foreman Robert Dunlap said that Dallas needs that center immediately, and along with the other jurors, urged city and county officials to come up with a plan within 60 days.
Well, very briefly, what we're recommending is a drug abuse and narcotic addiction center, which would be established for treatment, for rehabilitation, and also research. This would be open to everyone in the county. Hopefully those that paid, arrangements be made they would pay. Those that couldn't, they would still be treated. This could be done with the idea of assisting this crime problem which we have, and even equally important, we think, the young people who are beginning to get into trouble could come to this center.
There are 1,000 heroin addicts in Dallas County, and they commit more than 50% of the major crimes. When they're caught, this jail is just a stopgap until the next crime. The grand jury seems to feel that the establishment of a drug treatment center would not only reduce crime and rehabilitate the addict, it would help to keep him out of these jails. This is Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Dallas County Jail.
Well, we've heard a great deal about the May 6th primaries coming up, but how many of you remember that tomorrow is also an election day? It is, certainly, if you're interested in your local school board, whether in Dallas County or any of the surrounding counties. In Dallas Independent School District, for instance, more than 700 absentee ballots have been cast. That's far and away a record and is 231 more than were cast in last year's election. There are 15 independent school districts in Dallas County, and all 15 have elections scheduled for tomorrow. It's not going to be a simple task of selecting trustees either, because with the exception of only 2 races, all positions are opposed. The Dallas County Junior College District will also be electing 3 trustees tomorrow. No matter which school district within Dallas County you live, you will find the slate for the Dallas County Junior College District on your ballot. In Tarrant County, the Fort Worth Independent School District is not electing trustees tomorrow, but there are several other Tarrant County elections on tap, and Jim Green reports on those.
The longest ballot in 15 school district elections in Tarrant County tomorrow will be at Kennedale. Residents there will have 19 at-large candidates to choose from for 7 places on the school board. The Kennedale School District was abolished several months ago when a majority of the town's citizens became disgruntled with rising taxes. Since the special abolition election, a 3-member appointed board has been running the school district. 3 places will be filled in the Arlington School District election. A 20-year-old university student is attempting to grab one of those seats. Other elections will be held in Azle, Burleson, Crowley, the Eagle Mountain Saginaw District, Everman, Grapevine, the Hearst-Euless Bedford School District, in Keller, Mansfield, White Settlement, and the Birdville School District. One other will include the Lake Worth District, where students staged a walkout only yesterday, opposing the school board's firing of the principal and several teachers. We'll have the complete results of the elections on the late news tomorrow evening. This is Jim Green for Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
Yes, I think it means that they're still listening to the people who are opposed to progress in environmental quality, instead of to the vast bulk of the people who want to have steps taken to assure the maintenance of environmental quality.
Where does the Texas congressional delegation rank with other congressional delegations in relation to environmental voting?
I would assume about at the bottom.
What is your organization suggesting then that the voters do?
I suggest that the voters study very carefully the answers that challengers to the incumbents give, and draw out from the incumbents exactly how they will commit themselves to conduct themselves in the next 2-year session, and that the voters really go to the polls informed on what the environmental consequences are of re-electing any of these incumbents.
I should certainly hope so. This is. I was just discussing. One of the big drawbacks is keeping the Dallas fans that much longer away from Major League Baseball, and I would certainly love to open here April 6th and bring them their ball team. But now we're discussing something else that in 25 years is going to be very important to me, and it's going to be very important to the other 25 Rangers. And now's the time that we feel is to do something about it.
Was anything said that you were unaware of, or the players were unaware of, prior to today's meeting?
The only thing that did surprise me was the surplus money that we have in our pension plan that the owners will not let us have. And if we could just get that, like Marvin said, the only thing it would cost them would be less than $11,000 a club to reach our 17% demands. That's all. Now this was a little surprise to me.
Well, I was very surprised. You know, there was a lot of issues brought up, issues that I didn't really know about, or a lot of the representatives didn't. And we sat down and we discussed it a long time, which ordinarily, if you're going to come up with a positive vote or a positive idea, you have to sit down and discuss things right to the fullest, and this is what we did.
Which of the two alternatives do you feel, if met, will be met in time for the season to begin?
Well, I think the one easy alternative is possibly the $11,000 that each club has to give, and plus the money that we have in our pension plan that is ours, the $800,000 or better. It'll go into the pension, so the owners won't have to give that much money forward to help our benefit plan.
You don't feel then that another person will be sought to make the binding arbitration?
Well, it depends on if the owners want somebody to come in like that. This is the second view that they have for it, but it depends. They could have a resolution within possibly 2 or 3 days, and it might not need the arbitrator.
I think I got a real good chance of making the club if I show Ted and some of the other coaches that, you know, I'm ready for the club. I think I'll have a real good chance of staying. If not, I'll go to Denver, and at least I'll be playing every day.
And you know that eventually it's going to happen to you.
It better happen someday.
What will be the determining factor, do you think? What must you do here in order to stick?
Truthfully, it's really hard to say. I think I just got to show them that I can hit, that I'm mature enough to stay in the big leagues, that I can play center field. I think those are the 3 things that I got to show all the coaches.
And this is a new position for you, is it not?
I played a little bit last year, and I played a little of the outfield, mostly right field, and center field is a new position, but actually it's the easiest position of all 3.
The last day of March also marked the last day of existence for the world-famous Worth Hotel. The Worth has been a towering landmark in the Fort Worth skyline for 44 years. Today, its long reign of servitude comes to an end. Around October of last year, the Fort Worth Club purchased the edifice in hopes of maintaining the facility for guests coming into the city. After 6 months of ownership, the Fort Worth Club decided that the Worth needed too much repair to remain open as a first-rate hotel. Hence, the Worth is to be torn down and replaced with a 6-story parking garage. In reviewing the life of a hotel, one has to realize that it's not the building alone that meant so much to the history of Fort Worth, but it's the people who've operated it. The real class of the hotel lies within the friendly people who've welcomed guests into the city. One of those people is Minnie Shannon. Minnie, how long have you worked here at the Worth Hotel?
33 years, 1st of March.
What are you going to do tomorrow morning now?
Well, I hope I don't get up and start work. I think I'll stay home and look through my scrapbook and my pictures.
You have a lot
of... to grieve a lot.
Last night, we stayed with the hotel and received the warmth of the hotel's personnel for the last time. The lobby was rather quiet while the employees of the hotel gathered for the last time in a sort of wake fashion in the broadsword room. The people had a lot of memories to talk over and a lot of questions about their own future. most with the feeling that things would work out for them, but all knowing well that a part of their lives would be gone but not forgotten. And so will it be for many citizens of Fort Worth. This is Bob Schaus for Channel 8 News on the Move at the Worth Hotel in downtown Fort Worth.
The queen of the termite family is the most elusive and vital member of the termite society. Because of the high organization of the termite world, the queen is rarely ever seen by human eyes, but for the first time known, Channel 8 televised the royalty of the underworld. 17-year veteran of the exterminating business, George Novy of Dallas, has found not only one but two of the rare creatures. Novy found the first queen in Dallas 4 years ago to the amazement of entomologists and fellow exterminators. 2 days ago, Novy did the unheard of. He found a second termite queen in the North Dallas area. I asked Novy how vital the queen is to the termite kingdom.
Well, she lays all the eggs of the colony. She's actually an egg-laying machine, and she's fed by the workers, she's groomed by the workers, and the queen herself does not do any eating at all. She solely depends on the workers and the soldiers to feed her.
What's the longevity of a termite queen?
Well, they've been known to live about 25 years. And I feel like this one is between 18 and 20. Now,
how can you tell how old a termite queen is?
They say by the markings on their back. I'm not an entomologist, but Mr. Wright said that the last one I found was approximately 18 years old, and this one is bigger.
How do you plan to preserve the queen?
Well, we'll put her in glycerin and alcohol, or 70% alcohol, but the glycerin and alcohol works the best. It doesn't change their color, and they keep the same color, and it preserves them for many years.
Well, the queen's reigned in Dallas for some 20 years, breeding thousands of termites in this area. But some people still just see the lady as nothing more than a home wrecker. This is Donna Witkowski for Channel 8 News on the Move in Dallas.
May I have it, Sheriff?
What I'm trying to get over is that we have pride because these men had brought the school up to a very fine standard.
Well, anyway, when it comes down to it, did the teachers find out by the administration or the school board that they're doing something wrong? Because if they're not told by the school board what to do right, I mean, if you were hired at a job, your boss would tell you
BJ, we
what
can
you
answer
were
that.
to do
I'll ask
wrong.
Mr. Goodman if he will, please.
I think this is a big thing. How much it will hurt us as each individual player to walk out on the game of baseball, and how long this will take, I don't know. But in the end, I hope we come out with a definite decision and end this today, so there'll be no more blasting back and forth. I just want to get to playing baseball and forget about the business end of it.
Do you feel the players really want to strike?
No, I know that to a man that we don't want to strike. This is the last thing we want to do. But it's looking like now that we may be getting close enough so we may not have to strike, and this is what I'm looking forward to, that we can come out there and say that we've made a decision not to strike and that we're all happy. That's the main thing, but we've got to remember that we've got to keep ourselves in a position of negotiating and so we can keep our pension plan. Everybody tells us our pension plan is the best in the world, and I agree, but our aim is to keep it there. That's the only thing we want to do, is make sure that we keep it there, and as long as the owners don't want to give us what we think is fair, then I think we're going to have to fight for it.
Well, we voted unanimously the other day, 28-0, and I think the ball players are concerned about what's going to happen in the pension plan 20 years from now, because right now we're paying for the ball players that are retired, so I think that the fellows today are going to go through with a positive attitude. If we have to strike, we're going to put a motion to strike.
What do you think will happen today?
Well, the proposals that we're going to try and propose today, we hope they're going to be met. If not, the owners are going to stand pat. I think that the ball players are going to say we're going to strike now, maybe during spring training, or possibly wait till the opening day, or wait till one of the televised NBC games of the week.
If it has to come to that, would you sit out the season?
Well, it all depends on how financially equipped the ball players are to do so. I know that the owners are going to lose a lot of money, probably more so than the ball players.